Mr. President, last month we saw 5 male justices give their blessing to CEOs and corporations across America to go ahead and deny legally required health care coverage for their employees. When that news broke, I was outraged, and I know I was one of millions of people across the country who were shocked and angry. Mr. President, these women are looking to us. They are demanding a change. And today, as women across America took to social media for a digital day of action, their message was delivered loud and clear when they echoed, "My personal health care choices are not my boss's business," period. And it wasn't just women who were speaking out on social media today. In fact, we heard from several men who understood that if bosses can deny birth control, they can deny vaccines or HIV treatments or any other basic health care service for their employees or their dependents. I heard from Conrad in my home state of Washington on Twitter today who said he really doesn't want his boss knowing what medications he's on, diabetes or heart medications. Conrad said, and I quote, "It's simply not my boss's business." Well, Mr. President, I also heard from my constituents when I was home this weekend. On Friday, I spoke directly with business owners and others who were hearing the same thing. Women are tired of being targeted and are looking to Congress to right this wrong by the Supreme Court. One such woman was a woman named Morgan Beach. Morgan joined me Friday at Oddfellows Cafe. It's a small Seattle business whose owners stood up and spoke out about their disgust as employers by this ruling. Morgan is one of the 58% of women who use contraception for reasons other than to prevent pregnancy. And as she spoke out about how the Supreme Court decision would impact women like her, Morgan said, and I quote, "The terrifying power this ruling gives to a small minority to make sweeping personal decisions is frightening. The simple fact is birth control is not my boss's business," end quote. Morgan's right. It is not her boss's business. Mr. President, we're going to be talking about this urgent issue at more length tomorrow morning. But I wanted to come down this evening and share what I heard from back home this weekend and throughout today, because we have legislation that is now slated for a vote later this week, and we are going to be talking about this today, tomorrow, and through that time. And I hope that all of our colleagues are listening, because it is time for Congress to get to work. Women and men are watching. And I'm delighted today to be joined by my colleague, Senator from Colorado, who is my partner in presenting this legislation.
Mr. President.
From Colorado.
Mr. President, I rise today to speak about a proposal that Senator Patty Murray and I have introduced to restore a woman's power to make personal health care decisions based on what's best for her and her family, not according to her employer's personal beliefs. The Protect Women's Health from Corporate Interference Act, or Not Your Boss's Business Act, aims to counteract the far-reaching consequences of the U.S. Supreme Court's Hobby Lobby decision. That misguided court decision allows closely held corporations to now deny their employees coverage for contraceptives through their employees' health insurance plans. As Senator Murray did in her home state of Washington, I also traveled around my home state of Colorado, and several days ago, I stood shoulder to shoulder with women's health experts, including an OB/GYN in Denver, who told me that physicians might now have to consider how an employer's religious beliefs might fit into their diagnosis before they make a medical recommendation. Now, that ought to be based solely on their patient's well-being. It's unacceptable. Women should never have to ask their bosses for a permission slip to access common forms of birth control or other critical health services. Today, as Senator Murray alluded to, champions in women's health are taking a stand on social media to illustrate why the Senate should come together this week to pass the Not Your Boss's Business Act. This outpouring of support from all over the country shows just how important it is that we keep private health care decisions in employees' hands and out of corporate boardrooms. As part of today's Digital Day of Action across the country, my staff and I put together a BuzzFeed post to dispel some misconceptions about the Hobby Lobby decision and highlight why we need to pass the Not Your Boss's Business Act. Go to buzzfeed.com/Mark Udall and share my post to help push back against some of the myths. Despite what some people say, Mr. President, this decision is a bad deal, and it will undermine women's access to contraception across the country. But more and more Americans are joining us to speak out because of how backwards this Hobby Lobby decision really is. And I'm proud to have groups from across the Centennial States, such as the Colorado Organization for Latina Opportunity and Reproductive Rights, NARAL Pro-Choice Colorado, Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains, and Colorado's Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice come out in support of our bill. I believe the Supreme Court was wrong in its misguided Hobby Lobby decision, which is already adversely affecting American women and families. But, Mr. President, we have a chance to fix this. And I stand here today to call on my colleagues from both sides of the aisle to join me, join Senator Murray, and America's workers who agree that women's health is not your boss's business.